almost perfect.
So my Super 55 arrived in a box. It was in great shape. And I did inspect it to make sure there were no dents in it. I had a little issue where the drum meets the lid, but I was able to straighten that out. So get all that done before you even start painting it. But anyway, the next thing is you're going to take a sander or a scrub pad. You're going to concentrate on any rust spots that you have, and then you want to sand out the whole thing. Now that last step you could probably skip if you didn't care so much about a high gloss look to your drum, but you're next going to get some mineral spirits and just wipe the whole thing down so that whatever paint you're going to put on it is going to stick to it. And you can see me do that here. And of course, what's really important about this stuff is make sure you let it dry. I would suggest going over it twice. You can see some of the material I'm pulling off. I turned the barrel upside down, and this is a high performance black that I'm putting on there. Now I use sort of an anodized paint, so I had to go over it first with this black because I didn't like the look of the anodized paint, which is kind of translucent, over the steel. But I did paint just the drum lid that way, and so you can kind of see the results of that. It's kind of a two-tone effect. Right here, I'm going back over it, and what I did was I got the places that were imperfect first, and then wiped it down again, and sprayed it again. Now, for 85% of you who aren't going to put a custom anodized look to your drum, this is all the painting you're going to need. Some people don't paint it at all.
Okay. I put some black on this because the paint's just not going to work without something behind it.
I mean optically.
So I've got a black high temp paint on there that's flashing off, and when it does, I'm going to sand off some of these sags and then go in with the final coat, but in very, very thin layers, because this stuff is real persnickety.
It's getting there. It appears more purple than it really is on film. I'm looking over this almost black, but we are 2 cans in. Now, not including the black spray paint, I must have spent a case of paint. I want to say $60 to $80. My advice is, you know, if you're not getting anything like this, have Frank paint it for you. It's only like 99 bucks, and then you don't have to worry about it. Now, remember this color and look over here at the lid. You'll notice it's got a completely different look. That's because there's no black behind it. These are the flat intakes. Only ones in the industry. I painted the back side, painted the front side. It's gonna look beautiful. One of the looks I wanted to do was I wanted dark against light. This is the same paint, but this is painted on the steel and this is painted on black. These are the hinge part, the handles, and such. Those are the valves. Little custom copper action. Lots more work to do with this. Should have had it professionally painted. Even painted the screw heads. I didn't want them staring at me. So the things, certain things needed to be black with anodized paint over it, and then certain things needed to be copper with anodized paint over it. All right, now, so what we're doing is we're just very lightly kind of scratching the surface of this with this thing here. This will be the last application of paint that we're going to do.
Why are you whispering?
Because you have to sneak up on the funk. So.
Dad, did you take your meds?
I need steady hands. See what now? You know, it's not like we're talking about buttered sausage. Okay, that's all we need to talk about is buttered sausage, right? But I will take the meds later, okay? Now I'm going to dry dust this thing off. I'm going to warn you that sometimes people use mineral spirits to get this stuff off, and that's fine. And you can use it, but you need to give enough time for those mineral spirits to evaporate. So like for instance, if I were to wipe this down with mineral spirits, it's different from wiping down a raw barrel. If I wipe down this paint, what this paint does is absorbs those mineral spirits. And even though it's dry, it's within the paint. So if you lay paint over it immediately, you get crazing and wrinkles. And because the underside is trying to push out those mineral spirits, and you've just laid a coat over it to keep that from happening. So this last one I'm doing, I'm just dusting it off and making sure that as much dust as I can get off is out. And I will raise up the door to let some of the spray go out, but it's a good day because it's raining outside, and this will be the last coat no matter what I put on there, unless something funky goes on, like I get a sag, because I'm not dealing with any sags on this. All right, that's it. I also make sure that I'm dusting off all the areas where my spray is going to dust up, rather pick up dust. And so, all my faculties are together, and I'm going to spend all my best energies on this front. There's where the microphone goes. There's where the thermometer goes. Here's one port right here for air inlet, and here's the other port for air inlet. So this is what I call my beauty mark. On cars, for instance, those beauty marks used to be like right near where the windows and belt line was. So you wanted to make sure that was, the prettiest part of the car. And also remember, if you have some fudge ups in these areas that are straight above these air holes, no big deal, because that's going to be covered. And then the second parts will be from here to the seam. You want to make sure those are pretty. Where the seam is, you're not really going to seam that much, so if you make any mistakes or have any overlaps, then that's going to be fine there. Looks great, but when I'm looking at it, I see sags. And this is on the back. See the seam? Remember when I said when you're at your best faculties, make sure that you're giving your best work, and I did on my front. So when I spin this around, the absolute best coverage is right there on the beauty mark. And I see some imperfections that have come up. However, that's going to be covered. Where's the hole? No, it won't be. That's going to be directly in the line. I see some, but you can guarantee that those runs I'm going to get out one more time with rubbing them out once this is ready. But I'm not going to give the whole thing a scrape again. I might end up doing this spot here because right next to it is a spot where apparently I sanded out too much of the black that's underneath it. So remember I told you when I painted this thing, I wanted a bicolor. I wanted a color that I shot this anodized high heat paint over raw steel, which will give it one color, and over black. Well, right there, which I can only imagine is going to be even worse in the sunlight, just really shows up. So this area right here needs to be sanded pretty well to get rid of a problem that I had 2 coats ago, which I couldn't see in any of the other stuff. But it looks about as good as I'm going to get, and I'm going to clay this. So let's get this to the front. When I looked over the front, I had an issue here that kept appearing time after time, and I've sanded it down. I can almost see the coat. See that right there? Can you see it on the film? I can almost see how thin it is there. Anyway, what I did is I used this right here to get sags out, and that is, I want to say 320. This is 320. Okay. All right. So I used 320, and then I feathered it with one of these. Okay. But I didn't do the whole thing like I had normally, because now what we're going to do is just work on these spots right here with this next can. So I got a spot here. And remember, this is the beauty mark, right? I had a spot, and by the way, so this right here is going to be covered. So this is going to show up really, really a lot too. So we want that to be beautiful. So I got that part, and I was looking for sags. And remember, on the back is where I got most of my sags. So we had a couple of sags here. Oh, there's a sag right here. Can you get closer? Here's a sag I didn't get out right there. I got the sag out here, but I ended up having a sag there. And can you see any of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but it's right there, and I can feel it. So before I go on, yeah, actually you probably see it now. Yeah, you probably can see it. Can you see the whole sag right there? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'll get that out. Even though this technically is this right here is the hinges for the back. So this right here is the total back of the unit. It's actually not on the seam. All right, so the seam is a little bit to the right of it. So this is the back of the unit. All right, and there's a little thin spot there. I'm not too concerned about that. Here's that. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Here's that pitting, but because it was so close to the seam and it's on the back, I really don't care so much about it. All right, and here's another piece. Now what I'm going to do is get that towel again and wipe it as dust free as I can get it, including these edges around the thing. Real good. There's something. Oh, I gotta get that one spot, don't I? Where was that? Where was it? It's right there.
It was there.
It's right there. Well, you know what? I'm not even gonna worry about that. Yeah, I am. Well, you'll get to see what I do. All right, so there it is. And feather the edges. That's it. That's about all I do. Okay? So I'm going to make sure this is all dust free again. So when you spray with a spray can, you get areas of high gloss, or you get everything perfect, but then where you stop over here and stop over there, you get what they call, overspray. It's very fine spray. And so that gets you a look you don't like. And one of the ways, without pounding the whole thing out, that you can get a good look on it, because this thing is going to look great in the sun, okay? It's not like an automobile. Wait till you get your first dent. But you take automotive clay, and so if you listen here, make sure it's wet. Okay, so we're going to go over this area right here. Matter of fact, listen to my hand. Hear it right there? Okay, so we're going to go over it. Hear it? But now listen to it. You don't hear it anymore. Keep going down. There it is again. And so we're knocking off. You got to, from time to time, get over here. And get in there. Tell me, Joe, you hear that? Mm-hmm. You don't hear it anymore. You hear it there? You don't hear it anymore. So you're knocking off that overspray. And to show you, you're actually taking off a little bit of material, but you're not taking off of the really solid parts. You're kind of getting it off of those overspray areas. Don't want to use this one. I'm using this one. Got to be careful because I've got some chrome polish on this end.